Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
And just like that, the pre-season is over. I'm Paul Cooney. Tonight, delighted to be with Peter Grant and Kevin Kyle for the Go Radio Football Show. 6 years to the day since we started this programme. Peter, you're here. Kevin, you were in Open Goal in those days. I see you've retired from it. Delighted to say you've joined the winning team here after a great few years at Open Goal. Their loss is our gain. And Peter, you're back. Yeah,
be asked back, Paul. That's the biggest thing. I didn't know if I'd get invited back,
Peter,
you know.
Yeah.
And it's great that Kevin's on the side this year, so I'm really looking forward to the new season. There's a lot of changes, obviously, we've got to talk about. I'm really excited, probably the most excited I've been for a long time with the amount of new players that's going to new clubs, and managers swinging around about as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all works out.
And you're always so enthusiastic. So we're going to be here every night, 5 till 7 tonight. Tomorrow night, Aidan McGeady will be here, another signing for us over the summer, along with Mark Guidi. Barry will be back soon, and so too Charlie Mulgrew, Andy Walker, all the others. Oz, I'm not sure where he is. He's touring the world, isn't he? But
he'll still be playing at the World Cup, probably.
Absolutely. So the World Cup seems a while ago. 0808 17 17 700. We've missed speaking to you over the summer. Still in July, but we're back and can't wait to get started. And it kicks off tomorrow night. Wow, so much has changed over the past, 6 or 7 weeks. Lon Shankland kicked it off, didn't he, when he signed for Rangers, and then Derek McInnes days later crosses from Edinburgh to the commercial capital of Scotland to Rangers. And what an opportunity for him, and a pressure as well. And at Celtic, Martin Neal is here. There's been chat over the summer, no signings, but 2 big ones in the last week. And Celtic fans, how are you feeling? 0808 17 17 700. And Rangers fans, another signing today. That's 8 in total. The young defender from Philadelphia Union, Owethu Makanya, is now a Rangers player. We've got a list of all the players here. But listen, on the radio, I'll refer to them. It's part of it, Kevin, isn't it? Start of a new season, getting used to all the new names. New managers as well at Hearts. And we know they've had a tough start to life in the Champions League qualifiers. Hibs are in action tonight. And Motherwell 2 up from the first game. Hibs 2 down. So there's plenty to go for tonight. Peter, why are you looking forward to it so much? What is it you think coming off the World Cup? Last season, late finish for Celtic. What do you feel?
I just think Rangers going a different way. They've went with Derek McInnes, who they've always spoke about, and the Rangers fans have said they wanted that Rangers feel back in there. Well, they've got that now. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that, the players that come in. I know Ben Godfrey, obviously, from his time at Norwich, he's very aggressive, on the front foot in the respect of that. So I see the players they're trying to bring in and what they're trying to do with the team, make it a lot more competitive. So that you're looking at Rangers there. Hearts is going to be interesting. I've seen some of their game in both ties, and I thought they looked very poor, to be perfectly honest with you. I thought at the back, they looked all over the place. Up front, obviously, you're playing Braga, who I've got a lot of respect for in his performances last year. So it's going to be interesting to see the flip, Paul, of what's happened. Going so close last year, how they're going to handle it. Rangers, are they going to push Celtic all the way? Because talk about a couple of signings for Celtic, but they've also got guys that's coming back from injury who missed a big part of last season. Big players for them. And I still think, you've listened to Martin O'Neill himself, he wants more bodies in the building, and he just doesn't want bodies. He wants top players that can get actually straight into the first team, and I think that's always important.
Casper Hugh, I think that's how we're calling it, Hugh, and Camilo Durant. There's great excitement, isn't there, for the signing of the 11 million for Casper, who is an old-fashioned striker. Bit like yourself, Kevin, when you were at Rangers and Hearts.
I saw him last year when he played against Manchester City in the Champions League, and
scored.
He's got more to offer than I certainly had. He's got a wee bit. He's got a wee bit of everything. So he has.
He's a bit younger than you,
slightly, and lighter. But no, he's a proven goal scorer in the Champions League with Bodo Glimt, and obviously Celtic getting that deal over the line is huge because of the one position that Celtic were needing to fill was that striking position. So to get that done and actually go out there and spend the money needed to get a quality player of that level into the club shows that they are listening to the fans, because the fans haven't been happy in how the transfer business has been conducted. Obviously, the boy Duran's come in, he scored a couple of goals in pre-season, So that gives them 2 options up front. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out, because Duran's been the kind of the nine just now.
3 goals already.
3 goals
pre-season,
already. Different types of goals as well. So it'll be interesting to see how Martin goes about that. But they do need more backup.
A top player is on his way out. I'm going to tell you in just a moment or two. An international player. But Kevin, what about Rangers? What do you feel? 8 new signings. There's, the Rangers fans have been starved of success. We know the story. Is it 14 out of 15 titles have gone to Kerrydale Street? Is this season going to be different? How are you feeling about some of the names who've come in and the fact that Derek McInnes is there, Lon Shankland, his captain?
Well, what I feel, Paul, is that Rangers have, over the years, apart from possibly Steven Gerrard, have tried all walks of manager. Whereas this time round, they've went for somebody that has played for the club, somebody who respects the club, somebody who understands the club, and Derek McInnes, could be their signing of the season in terms of his experience in the Scottish Premier League that he's had over the years, obviously with Aberdeen to start with, then getting the move down south. It didn't quite work out at Bristol City. Then he's came back and he's worked his way from Kilmarnock to Hearts, now probably into his dream job. And then what he's done is identified how Rangers are playing, what they need. There's a core of Scottish players missing. So he's went back to his old club. He's got your man, Lawrence Shankland, who's been a proven goal scorer for Hearts and teams before him. Then he's went and got Cammy Devlin on a free. Who
you like him?
I like him. Do I think he's going to make a huge difference to Rangers in terms of being that mainstay midfield player that's going to make a he'll offer something. That's what I think. Something that maybe Rangers have lacked. He's very similar, I think, to Conor Barron.
Yeah.
Maybe Conor Barron didn't get as much opportunity maybe as he would like. But Cammy Devlin, for me, in the pre-season games that's already occurred, you can identify that he's understood the kind of remit from the Rangers fans and the manager. Let's get in people's faces. Let's work hard and get the crowd on their feet. Get them looking to show that we're trying here.
He's a pest, isn't he?
He's a pest. So he'll make things difficult. And then obviously the other signings, Godfrey, the goalkeeper.
Pandu.
We're unsure of how these guys will do, but Rangers have got bodies in the door. They've got another one in today, and I think Derek McInnes is talking about possibly getting one more. So it's interesting to see how they'll go. Will they gel? Will Raskin end up leaving? Will he stay? Asgard looks he's come back from the World Cup and they started the pre-season well. So there's a lot to be optimistic about. It just now let's get the season underway and see how it all unfolds.
Rangers fans, what are you thinking? You know the number 0808 17 17 700. We're going on the lines in a second or two. The Celtic news is that I believe that Alistair Johnston will soon be an Everton player. So Everton want him, and I think Celtic would be prepared at the right money to let him go. So, Peter, what's your reaction? I think he is going to be wearing the blue of Everton rather than the green and white of Celtic.
Yeah, disappointed because he's done exceptionally well for his time at Celtic. So I'm just disappointed at the timing of it, because you'd like that to have happened earlier. Unless Martin, it's been interesting because I've watched the Celtic pre-season games. Colby Donovan's played near enough every minute of every game at full-back. So maybe it's something Celtic have been known in the background. But I think still Celtic will go out. Maybe a Rojo, would that be interesting on Celtic again, depending on what happens at Bournemouth? There'll be a new manager in there as well. Is there an opportunity for him to come back if Alistair Johnston goes? Because
Celtic fans would love that, wouldn't they?
Listen, there's a wee bit of character about him. When you come to Glasgow, when you play for Celtic or Rangers, you've got to have something else. And he had that, you get in with the fans. But listen, he was a good player. Let's not be kidding. It wasn't just his enthusiasm or whatever. He was a good player, a good defender. And Martin's been his manager before, so he knows him very well. So that was somebody I'm sure they would look at. But it's going to be interesting what Celtic get for Alistair Johnston. Because
what do you think?
I think they should get top dollar for him, because I think he's got 2 years left, if I'm right. I'm not sure. I think he's got 2 years left in his contract.
He's 27.
Listen, perfect. But listen, maybe he'll want to go for sure. Obviously, if it's going to happen that quick, and as you're saying, if it's going to happen that quick, I think he obviously wants to go. So the bottom line is you've got to get top dollar for him, because he's an international player, played in the World Cup and never let himself down, and he's been exceptional for Celtic. So David knows now that Celtic will be looking for top dollar for him, and I think they should be as well.
Kevin's on the line, a Celtic fan. Hi, Kevin. Good evening.
How you doing, boys?
Hi, Kevin.
Good, thank you. Good to hear you back. Hope you're having a good summer. Kevin, that's the first news tonight. It's not been confirmed yet, but Alistair Johnston, I understand, will be an Everton player. How do you feel?
A bit gutted about that one, but Alistair Johnston's got the kind of relationship with the Celtic fans that I'm sure the Celtic fans with me will wish him nothing but the best. He deserves his move. Everton are a massive club, so it's not as if he's going into some relegation Premiership club like some of the other guys have done, going to the likes of Norwich and things like that. This is a
Easy, Kevin.
Sorry, Peter.
Former manager.
Sorry, when you were there, Peter. That's what I meant.
He meant Ipswich.
I thought that.
Because the rivalry. So that is the news this evening. Listen, he did well in the World Cup, Alistair Johnson, but he will be on his way. He's contracted until June 2029, so he's actually got 3 years to go in the contract. But look, my understanding is he's going to be going. Julian Araujo, what do you think? Looking to Kevin Kyle, what do you feel on this?
I think that's just an ideal replacement because his loan spell was a successful loan spell. His goal against Kilmarnock in the 95th minute certainly got the fans on his side.
Do you think he enjoyed that?
Slightly. And he just like Peter said, when you come to the Old Firm, you have to have a character. You have to have a sort of that wee bit something different, a personality, and that's exactly what Araujo brings. He's a very good footballer, and depends what Celtic can get him for. I think he would be an ideal replacement. It'd be interesting to see if the boy Kobe Donovan gets an actual run at it, because Araujo isn't going to come in the next few days, so we'll see how that goes. But they have options.
Kevin, what about up front then, the two front men who've come in? Your reaction to them?
I'm absolutely delighted. I mean, fair play to the board. That was their biggest critics last season. And to be fair, I still think we rode a wee bit more this season in this transfer window. But to spend that kind of money, it'd be great. In my opinion, I think Duran and Ho are going to be the best Celtic partners in striking partnerships, as the likes of Arsenal and Sutton. I think the two of them are going to be absolutely frightening. I just can't wait to see them play. If Johnson goes to Everton, then the board need to take every single penny that they've spent, plus maybe even a couple of million more, and go and get a Julian Araujo. He's absolutely sure they had a replacement. Loves the club, loves it up here. I don't think wages would be a problem either. I think it'd be brilliant. And if I was Derek McInnes and Rangers of Midlothian, I would be quite worried about the business that Celtic are doing so far, because it looks like we're bringing in absolute quality.
It took you 3 minutes to get in that Rangers of Midlothian. I've heard that chat over the summer. Peter, you made a great point on new Bournemouth manager, and he might want to keep Araujo.
Yeah, that's a problem. And by the way, he'll be on good dough. Yeah. And Celtic will not be paying that type of wages you'll be getting at Bournemouth. So
what kind of money? 60 grand a week?
Easily.
70?
Well, to go into the Premier League now, it's incredible. When I was going to Bournemouth, you were getting £1,000 a week for these players. Now you're on 16, 70 grand, and that was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So it just shows you the change in that football club is remarkable.
In crowds of 15,000. I know the money comes from TV. I know that.
It's incredible, but Paul, to bring the players and the success they've had for Eddie all the way through has been continued success. And you need good players. And the manager had to sell a player because there was something happened off the pitch with one of his fullbacks, and he'd be let go to somewhere in Spain. So that's maybe going to be an issue as well. It's maybe not going to be as easy. And I'm sure. Listen, I've been really impressed with Kobe Donovan, and Tony Ralston's never let Celtic down. No. But as I say, because Martin's looked at it, and I've looked at Tony Ralston and I look at Kobe Donovan all through the summer. Kobe Donovan's played every minute, so Martin's probably been looking at this as this was a possibility happening. And Kobe Donovan, I think, will start as Celtic's right back. So
what else does Celtic need? Because Engels could well go. I'm just looking at both of you. Kevin's on as well on the line. He could go.
Yep.
And there could be others. What about Mika Bauer? So he's been mentioned a few times. He's told Paderborn he'd like to leave. He'd like to go to Celtic. What do you make of it?
I definitely even think if Engels is still there, I think Celtic need another midfield player in there. Because it doesn't look as if Hatati's going to be there. Bernardo's played a little minutes under Martin. So you're talking about all these guys. Engels, you're thinking to yourself, maybe wants to go if they were talking about that amount of money for Nottingham Forest. And that's a problem. It's a problem. If they don't go, I think these boys will go. So I think you've got to go and fill the midfield. I mean, I think Celtic will need at least two other midfield players. That's me personally.
Kevin on the line, what do you feel? What do you want to see coming in?
I would like to see Mika Bauer coming in. I think if just reading the reports, I don't know a lot about him. I don't obviously follow Paderborn. I don't know much about him, but I was reading in the German websites and stuff, and he's really, really highly rated. So I would get him in. I agree with Peter. I think that even if Engels stays, you need another midfielder in, because you need that strength in depth. And we're in for a long, hard season.
Yeah.
You've got to pick up injuries, suspensions, things like that. So hopefully we can keep Engels for another season. It's going to be pretty difficult, but we need to get another midfielder in, maybe even two.
Kevin, thank you so much for your call.
Cheers,
0808 17 17 700. Kevin Kyle is about to come in there. We'll talk Rangers in just a moment or two. Kevin, Celtic, what do you think they need?
I still think they need another winger, and I would think a goalkeeper. As well as Sansala's done, he needs competition. It's the only way you keep goalkeepers on their toes. At the minute, who's their number two? Is it
Doohan.
Ross Doohan?
Yep.
So I think they need an experienced backup there, or maybe somebody to challenge Sansala's in goal.
Is it a backup or is it the number one? What do you think?
I still believe that the Celtic number one goalkeeper position's up for grabs, because Sansala only came in midway through the season, and listen, he hasn't done Celtic a bad turn by any stretch. I imagine he's done very well, but you need competition in places. You need competition to be healthy. Like I say, Peter says another midfielder, definitely, but definitely a winger. I know the boy Hassan from I think it's Oviedo in Spain, who got relegated. I think he's an interest. He had a good World Cup, but again, 2 or 3 games in the World Cup is what everybody's basing it on. How's he done over the course of a season? It's one of those. But if you're getting a guy like him for possibly 4 or 5 million quid that they're talking about, then I think that's a gamble worth taking, because he comes at the right age, the right kind of the kind of Celtic signing that you would like, because you could potentially progress him and sell him on. So they do need another 2 or 3 players, definitely.
We're working for our money tonight, because I'm going to ask Peter and Kevin who is going to win the league. Now, you can change it at the end of August when the transfer window closes, but we need to know. But not just now on the programme. Peter, the Celtics is just the usual. Everyone fights out, and then the last few minutes,
I'm surprised you're even asking me.
Celtics sort it out, but who knows? I mean, Rangers fans, Peter, for example, in Bothwell Street, Mercantile Chambers, really looking forward to this season. He's fed up with broken promises from Rangers over the years, but feels they're getting close to it, Kevin. And that's the big thing for Rangers, isn't it? They've got to win. Well, I'm not saying he has to win the league, but he's got to come. Or does he? What do you feel?
Oh, I think that's his remit. I think he's come in to win the league. I don't think there's any manager that comes into either Celtic or Rangers and that is not the priority, the objective, the number one objective. Derek McInnes will believe that he can win the league. I think what he's done in terms of the Scottish players, McCrory, Shankland, got a wee bit of backbone, a bit of spine about their team, about their squad, because last year when you look at the Rangers starting 11, there was no Scottish backbone there, and when games were maybe even in around the dressing room, I saw Lawrence Shankland being given the captaincy. Straight away you think, right, great move, because he will make sure that those players in that dressing room understand what it's like to play for a club like Glasgow Rangers, and there'll be nobody not able to pull their weight. They'll get pulled up by Lawrence or even Ross McCrory, who's back there for a second time.
Because Rangers, as you know, went into, after the split, 5 games to go, as probably the favourites, because Hearts were beginning to... I know everyone goes on about refereeing decisions. Hearts don't want to hear it. A lot of Rangers fans as well were saying it, some ex-Rangers players. But the fact is, Hearts were off the boil at the wrong time. And Rangers went in as the favourites.
Well,
they lost the first 4 of the 5 games. So it was a collapse. So they need to change the mentality. And I get what you're saying about people who know what it's about.
Listen, Lawrence Shankland came close to winning the league last year, so he nearly had that experience behind him. But that experience of losing on the last day will only G him up to try and do better this season. For me, the introduction to Lawrence Shankland isn't just about getting goals. The way he plays and drops off and links the play is going to allow Chermiti, because I think Derek will play the 2 up front. I think he'll play Chermiti and Shankland up front. And what that'll do is probably give Chermiti more of a free rein, whereas what you saw last year was Chermiti was the one kind of battling for balls and maybe not getting the opportunities that he maybe liked, apart from the Celtic games where he did really well. I think what you'll find this year is Lawrence will be the one that'll link up and come in the box late, and Chermiti will be the one maybe running onto balls. And listen, that's a really... Kevin, the Celtic caller there, talked about the front 2 for Celtic. That's a formidable front 2 for Rangers as well. So the 2 of them, there's a lot of goals in the team, but what between the 4 strikers, they need service, because as a striker, Paul, you're only as good as the service you're provided.
It's going to be some season, Peter, isn't it? I agree with what you said. I don't remember a season where there's been so much change at the top. For example, with Rangers, Hearts, Celtic solidifying Martin O'Neill, bringing some players in now. It's the big restart. I think it's going to be a brilliant season.
It's unbelievable. You're talking about Rangers there, and you're talking about Godfrey Devlin, and you're talking about McCrory. all competitors. That's the one thing they've got. They're very competitive. I've seen every one of them playing, and that's their biggest strength more than anything else. The one that interests me, I don't know how you say it, Dragovic.
Yep.
I watched him against Hibs last year, and I thought he was outstanding. He was the captain, and I noticed Hibs played very well. Bowie was excellent in that game, I remember. And he played, and I thought he was brilliant.
For Partizan.
Yeah, he was brilliant in the game. He was a really good footballer, but I think it says a lot to captain a club of that standing. You know, at that age, 20 years of age, probably 19 then. And I thought he was one of the best players on the pitch. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. I don't know if he's played it. I've not seen him in any of the pre-season games. I don't know whether it's injury or whatever. But I think he will bring that little bit of quality that maybe Rangers have been looking for a playmaker. That's what he was more like when I seen him in the game against Hibs. He was on the ball and he could move, make forward passes. So that's going to be interesting. But the other three boys, the one thing they've brought is a competitive edge, that's for sure.
It's the Derek McInnes way of doing it. It's going to be absolutely fascinating. More calls coming in. 0808 17 17 700. No shortage of topics. We're going to talk about all the Premier League teams and also the World Cup, the Infantino Trump. Yeah. So UEFA have said, not for us, we're going to boycott it. And the SFA in the last few minutes have issued a statement as well. So we're not up for it at all. But, you know, you can never dismiss Infantino and what the heck was going on over the summer over there, above our pay grade. But my goodness, it's a worry, isn't it, that they say, oh, we're just going to sell off the World Cup. There's billions there. And of course, there's a sweetener for the 211 nations. And Europe's only got, 55 of the 211. So what do you reckon?
It's a huge worry, Paul.
Isn't it?
It's a huge worry because some of these nations are better off than some of the European nations.
Yep.
And I think they were talking a figure of 10 to 15 million pound each for each of these nations. That's lit up a lot of people's eyes.
And they put it up in the last.
It's
up now to 30
million.
million. It's
Is that
either
what they've
dollars
raised it?
or euros, but I'll check. We'll check with your accountant during the break. Right, quick break, and then we're back. on.
The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas.
Great to be back with you every night, 5 till 7, from now until next May. We'll be here every evening. That's our pledge to you. And thank you for making the switch. Glasgow loves the football, loves the radio. So we're so pleased that so many of you have been on early. Peter, I was lucky enough to be in Miami for the game with
Lucky
Brazil. Yeah, and see the number of listeners who were there. Genuinely, so many people. And people used to say, oh, and Clyde and stuff, which is great. They go Radio Football Show. They listen and they watch as well, and I absolutely love it. So thank you to each and every one of you. Kevin Kyle is with us, so too is Peter Grant. We're looking forward to Barry back with us, and Big Charlie Mulgrew. Aidan will be here tomorrow night, Aidan McGeady, along with Mark Guidi. So we'll try and bring you the news when it comes. We won't tell you anything that isn't true. So tonight's news is that Alistair Johnson, barring a last-minute slip, he will be an Everton player. And you heard Kevin, a Celtic fan, saying, well, he goes with his very best wishes. He's been a terrific signing for Celtic, the Canadian international. Didn't do himself any harm over the summer. Celtic have been spending in the last few days £11 million just the other day for big Casper Hugh. Is it Hugh?
I'm saying nothing.
Yeah, there's different ways of pronouncing it, but I'd say a great attitude. I see he thanked God and said, great to be here. And it's where he wants to be, which, Kevin, it's brilliant to hear, isn't it? Some of the players coming to Rangers as well, they want to be here in Glasgow. We're not naive. There's bigger money elsewhere. But these are very wealthy young men at brilliant football clubs. And I hope they realise how big football is in this city.
I think when you're a footballer, there's a few moves in your career that really get you excited. And there comes along a move or two where you just can't say no. And I always believed, as a Scottish kid growing up in Scotland, to play for Celtic or Rangers was always like, depending on what allegiance you had, regardless, you would have jumped at the gun to play well because it was like an unbelievable opportunity. Celtic and Rangers are famous worldwide.
Yep.
And the reality is, Casper Ho playing away there with Bodo Glimt in the small league that he has with the small crowds, that opportunity to come to Glasgow and potentially play for Celtic in the Champions League under a midweek 64,000 fans, that's an opportunity he can't turn down. And what he's then doing for himself is putting his profile on a bigger stage. And for me, listen, I hope that it works out for him. He gets the goals that Celtic hope he can score. And again, it's the same for Rangers. The likes of Lawrence Shankland, who has been around many clubs and worked at his game and really, really, really worked at his game to get to this possible dream move to Rangers as a Rangers supporting kid, I think. So I've heard anyway. He'll be relishing that opportunity to get out there and play that first game tomorrow night against Dundee United for Rangers. A dream come true. Now the captain, he probably only has one thing in his mind. Can I topple Celtic with a group of guys that's going to be behind me? So it's going to be a fascinating season because last season was like no other, Paul, where we had a not so great Rangers, a very unbalanced Celtic, and a Hearts team that came from nowhere under the Jamestown platform that managed to bring in your Braga, your Kizarides, your Shankland, that ended up getting them to, what were we, 20 minutes away from winning the league, Hearts. But now what we have is Celtic spending money, Rangers spending money, and Hearts starting off quite badly in pre-season. So we don't know what to expect, and we haven't even talked about the other 9 teams yet.
Let's hear from a few of the main players then that you will hear. I mean, this time last year at Rangers, Russell Martin seems a long time ago, doesn't it? It was Brendan Rodgers at Celtic. It was a remarkable season. So this season, 26, 27, oh my goodness, the years are going on. The Rangers captain will lead them out tomorrow night at Tannadice, Lawrence Shankland.
It'd obviously be huge, and it is something we're obviously going to set out to try and do coming into the season. That's the expectation. You come to a football club like this, you want to go and win the league. There's no shying away for that. We know it. It's a responsibility that we accept as players. And obviously myself as a captain now, I'll need to kind of bleed that into the changing room. But I seen we missed out obviously last season, but I'm looking forward and hopefully can go one closer this year.
Callum McGregor will lead Celtic out on Monday night, on Flag Night against Dundee.
Yeah, it's always a nice day usually, but it's obviously at night time this time, so nice get the supporters in, get the flag done, and then it's sort of down to business again. It's for us, as much as we can, we want to make it about the football. Everyone else will sort of celebrate around us, but we have to focus and we have to try and set a marker for what's to come. He
was speaking to Sky. Derek McInnes, the importance of winning league in his first season at Rangers if he can.
Yeah, I think it's an important role whatever club you're at, but I think that there's similarities in the sense that I felt that Lawrence took a lot on him on his shoulders at Hearts when things weren't going so well last season. This time last year when we were in at Hearts, and obviously he was the existing captain, and I seen no reason to change it after seeing how he was in and around the team. But I do feel that the role now has changed in the sense that I do think we need as many kind of captains underneath him as well. And in the sense, you've seen a lot of managers speak about that recently, and I think that, you know, someone to help share the burden. Normally, I used to see it with James Tavernier here a lot as well at Rangers, where he would get rolled out after every sore defeat and ones that had a lot of impact, and I just thought that it was always a bit unfair. It was the same guy getting rolled out all the time, and I do think we have to share that load, share the responsibility, both when things are going well and when things aren't going so well. So leaning on a lot of his teammates, key players within that, you know, there's a kind of a leadership team in there within the dressing room that will help him with that. But ideally, you want everybody to be able to deal with the responsibility you just mentioned.
And Martin O'Neill on the new signing, 11 million, Casper Hugh.
I think it's great news. I think it's great news for us in the football club, and I think it's great news for the fans wanting to try and improve our goal scoring, obviously. And I think he's the man to do it. I'm hoping that he will get help throughout the whole time, and we're not just relying on him. Hopefully the goals will be shared around a little bit, but if he is the main man, I hope he comes up.
Great to hear the voices, isn't it, of the new season. I wonder if they'll all still be there at the end of the season. You would imagine
End
they
of the
will
month,
be.
you mean?
Oh, well, yeah, you never know. We will
That's how
speak about some
quickly
of the
it's
other
changed
teams.
now.
Where will we go first? What about the captain's role then? You hear the manager, Derek McInnes, speaking about, you know, I need more than one captain there, but he praising. He knows what he gets with Lawrence Shankland, doesn't he? Because last season did so well for him at Hearts. Is it important to have, I know there's always a senior group now. What do you feel, Kevin?
I was fortunate enough when I went to Kilmarnock after the first 6 months of being there, done really successful. That next year, Jim Jeffries offered me the captaincy and said, would you like to be the captain? And he said, I think you're really good round the dressing room, you're a big personality. And I took the role. And I'd taken it away from Gary Hay and James Fowler. Between the two of them, had it for maybe the best part of 10, 12 years between the two of them. And I felt a huge responsibility because, right, wait a minute here, these guys have been here way longer than I have, but I've been chosen to lead this team to try and, our objective was to stay in the league because of how we were the season before. I found the captain's role really difficult because I was very opinionated, I was very strong in my beliefs, so sometimes it was, if there was ever a learning curve for me, I used to think that it's how you speak to people, it's how you get a reaction. And there's ways of speaking to people and there's ways of not speaking to people. So sometimes I felt possibly I crossed the line with some people.
With some of your players?
With some of my teammates.
Right.
And there's times where some people were so on board with what I was all about. So some people really liked me. So they were my group that came with me. So I could relate, when you talk about a leadership group, there's a leadership group and then there's a group of guys that you know that you can trust. So I had a group of guys that were with me, and then there was a group of guys that probably felt aggrieved that their friends weren't the captain anymore. Yeah. But we were still a unit, we were still a group. I organised one of the greatest Christmas parties ever in Belfast. That started to go down in history. So, and then shortly after that, I actually went to Jim Jeffries and relinquished the captaincy.
Why?
Because I felt that I wasn't getting from the players on the part that I was hoping for. And my performances were then starting to be affected. And I was supposed to be the main guy scoring the goals, trying to keep the team in the league. So I then asked Luke Gaffer, could we, and he ended up giving it to somebody else. And thankfully, over the next 6 to 8 weeks, I got back into that role of just being the player to try and keep the team in the league, and then towards the end started scoring a few goals again.
And it worked for you.
And we stayed in. So it was a learning curve for me. And then when I went to Hearts, I was then part of the leadership group. I wasn't the captain, but I was part of the group who helped Mari Zaliukas organise things, have words with people in the dressing room, and I felt more of a responsibility that way, but I'd learned from my past experiences on how to speak to people. If you look at Callum McGregor, the first time Kieran Tierney said at the end of the season last year, this guy, the way he conducts himself, that's a captain, because he's done it for years. Derek McInnes' interview on James Tavernier being chucked in front of the camera all the time. That's difficult. I don't know about you, Peter. Did you have the fortune of being a captain?
Yeah, most clubs I was captain. Celtic had done it when Paul wasn't playing for a period of time as well. So I think a lot gets put on the captaincy in the respect to that. I think I always used to look upon it, you were leading the guys out onto the pitch. I expected the team. I was a moaner all the time. training, you name it. I moaned all the time.
No, really?
Some of the players would have wanted to chop me up on the football pitch or on the training pitch.
Yeah.
You know, but that's the way I was. So I couldn't change. What if I did feel sometimes I went the opposite, a wee bit in the way when you became the captaincy and the respect to that. And I think it's getting that fine balance. The things a lot of players don't want to get involved in is going to see the board members that we did at that particular time, or you're fighting for bonuses.
But the bonus, yeah.
All that
Was that
always
tough?
happened.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter. Because if they turn around and say no to you anyway, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
You know, you're all going to walk out, go and strike, whatever. It's near impossible. But I think a lot gets put onto that. It's an honour and a privilege, and Lawrence Shankland will be absolutely delighted. I know the times that I pulled on the armband.
Yeah.
I was so proud. He'd been a Celtic player, but just to be the Celtic captain was unbelievable. And I'm sure Lawrence Shankland, being a Rangers supporter, being the captain, leading Rangers out, must have been an incredible thing for him. Just playing for them is big enough for him.
Yeah.
All of a sudden being asked as captain is
So it's still
phenomenal.
an important role.
Massive.
Yeah.
Of course it is. But it's more difficult now, Paul, because of the amount of different personalities. You've got to remember when I played, if any English, a couple of foreigners, not very many, and all Scots lads who were as good as given anything, many fights you see in the dressing room. And it didn't matter who the captain was.
Yeah.
You'd all take responsibility. And that's what I loved about it. I was very, very fortunate. I had Danny McGrain.
Yeah.
I had Roy Aitkins. You know, then I had Paul's. All these guys,
Obviously.
all
Sure.
different characters.
Wow.
You know, so you
Three of
learn.
the biggest captains
But
the
that's what
club
I'm
ever
saying.
had.
So
Yeah.
you're very.
Yeah.
I was blessed in the respect to that. But I'm sure they taken that, looked at us and looked at around the dressing room, saying they were thankful for the players they had, because they were all leaders within there. There was so many leaders within the group, which was brilliant in a dressing room.
I see Lawrence Shankland says that his hero when he was growing up was Barry Ferguson, and now that he's captain, he said, "I hope I bump into him at Ibrox because you know he could do." He'll do well if he can replicate the kind of success that Barry had as player and manager, and captain at Rangers.
The thing is with Lawrence, he doesn't have to be there for the next 5 years and be a successful captain. What Lawrence has to do is lead this team this year to success. And if he does that, he will go down as the likes of Steven Gerrard's remembered in recent times, stopping Celtic winning 10 in a row. If Lawrence Shankland can stop the kind of momentum that Celtic have at the moment, that's all he has to do. But again, it's like when Peter's talking there, as a captain, you're that guy that leads by example. So your performances have to be tip top. So if Lawrence Shankland's putting goals in week after week in for Rangers, that's leading by example, and everybody will hopefully follow Lawrence.
Barry, of course, won 15 trophies at Rangers. I mean, my goodness, when did Rangers last win 15 trophies? You'd have to go way back now.
Yep.
It's all changed. And I think Rangers are now, there's a reality with the new owners in saying, you know, the traditions at the club and all the rest of it. Yeah, but in recent times, in modern times, Rangers haven't been winning. So the things need to change. And I sense with Derek McInnes, he knows that. There's going to be a big change. Lawrence Shankland, the importance of being captain for
Do
him.
things properly. That's what I like to do. I like to lead by example that way. Of course, there's times where you need to be more vocal, but I think the days of captains being shouting and bawling in people's faces and screaming, I don't think society works that way. I don't think players, modern day players, really react too well to that. I think it's just about identifying the people who need an arm around the shoulder, need a bit of encouragement, and then there's some who do need a jag at times. But listen, that's something you always come to learn your teammates, and that's not just about the captain. That's everybody identifies what players around about them need, and it's about me identifying that quickly and doing whatever I can to help everybody.
Rangers captain Lawrence Shankland, 0808 17 17 700.
The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas.
If we were Radio Newcastle, it would all be about Eddie Howe. That was the news this morning. I'm just looking, Peter, because you know him well. So does Kevin. Are you surprised that he's gone from St James's Park?
Yes and no, Paul, because I seen the movement with Tonali.
Yeah.
And they're talking about Lomares.
Yep.
You've got Gordon going. And Eddie's worked really, really hard and brought these guys in probably when the club wouldn't have knew much about them, but Eddie knew that's what the club wanted. They wanted attacking players, that have guys that would be on the front foot, could handle the pressure of playing in Newcastle's front of the fans. Got them a Champions League twice, won the cup for them, all within 5 years. He's an incredible coach, and he's done remarkable, I think, the way he handles himself on television. It was proper for Newcastle United.
Sure.
They needed somebody like that, you know. That'll be a big loss to them. And I know fans were talking about the end of the season because they never finished the season well. There was a few reasons for that, injuries and whatever.
Is he going to be the England manager? I suppose my question is, in the next 2 years, do you think he'll be the England boss?
No, Eddie's cute enough that he would want to stay in football. For somebody, for instance, you're looking at this and now we're talking about Scotland. David Moyes becoming the Scotland manager. You wouldn't believe Eddie supported Everton. That was Eddie's team.
I heard that.
Eddie's
I
an
heard
Everton supporter.
Yeah.
And
he's too young though.
To go to, but I'm talking about for Everton.
Oh, right.
To replace David Moyes.
David Moyes is not going to leave Everton
you know
for Scotland just now.
But that Eddie Howe is a big Everton supporter.
No.
So
I didn't know that until today.
If David Moyes went, Eddie Howe, I think, would be perfect for that job if Davy left him.
Football, there's so much happening, isn't there? So the big news yesterday was about the World Cup. We mentioned it briefly earlier on. The SFA have issued a statement this afternoon about it, agreeing with UEFA. UEFA are going to boycott it if it comes. We've got until September the 19th. That's when Gianni Infantino, he wants to know whether you're in or out. So the president and the chief exec of the SFA today attended a remote meeting of UEFA to discuss the proposed FIFA Forward Enterprise proposal. The SFA board agrees unequivocally with the concerns raised by the members over the manner in which these proposals have been issued and the deadline set without a full consultation at all. The board is fully supportive of the statement issued by UEFA today following the meeting. We are also aligned with our fellow national associations who seek to ensure our collective voice is heard resoundingly and that the Corinthian spirit, which underpins the beautiful game, football, invented here in this great country, Scotland, and shared with the world, is protected. So they're all staying together for that one, Kevin. At the moment, UEFA as a bloc saying it's not happening, and that's 55 nations.
And that 55 is what, possibly 25% of what is out there in terms of 200 plus nations that potentially could vote for this. So they could, I can see obviously what Gianni Infantino's trying to do, which is horrendous. The guy should have been removed after his interference in the World Cup with the American team.
The red card.
The red card. For me, 55 European nations, for me, they are the big pivotal part of World Cups in terms of your Italians, your Spanish, your Scotland, your England, your Ireland,
France, Germany.
That is, when you think of World Cups, you think of Brazil, Argentina, then you think of all the European teams. So for me, it's not a World Cup if these teams aren't in it. I hope they knock it down. I hope it gets voted against. And personally, I would like to see your man removed from his position.
Kevin Kell calls for...
He's a danger. He's a danger to football.
Yeah, he's not the only one, is he? Peter, you're not for this at all, are you?
Absolutely not. But, remember they'd done the Netflix and Blatter and Platini before, Paul, and there were big question marks over all that. Now we seem to be getting back that same way again after what happened with Balogun. Kevin touched on it there, how he could play against Belgium. And I was delighted that USA get beat in that particular match, because that'd have been incredible. There'd have been some outcry if Belgium had lost that game. So I think they're creating problems that they don't need to create. You know, football supporters around the world will go and watch the World Cup with the best teams in it. Financially, somebody must be getting robbed the right way to get this amount of money, and that can't be the biggest thing. The biggest thing is having the biggest and the best countries playing in a World Cup and taking them to places that people don't see them. And you see the Scotland fans, you see the Norway fans, all Brazil fans, Argentina, you name them, Holland, you name them. How good was it to see the way they conducted themselves, you know, and the joy they seem to bring everybody else. Scotland and Boston seemed incredible, you know. So that's what the World Cup's about, bringing people together, and hopefully that will continue and we get rid of this rubbish they're talking about selling the World Cup off.
Scottish fans, how good were the Scottish fans in America, especially Boston, but actually Miami as well, is phenomenal. If only the team could replicate just that bit of magic, Kevin.
I think Boston's suffering. They've got a massive, they've got their own hangover of like desperation wanting the Scottish people back in their city.
Got to be a twin town, hasn't it?
It's definitely got to be a twin town, and they've got to kind of organise an annual fixture. I think Scotland versus America, based in Boston one year and Glasgow the next. And
match commentary: Kevin Kyle, Peter Grant.
Absolutely,
I want to invite them here. I don't want to drive them away.
And Spain winning it. Since I last saw you, we did a special podcast. I said if it goes down well, we'll do it every week. We didn't. But no, Kevin, you were on with Ross King a couple of weeks ago.
Me and Ross were amazing. Just the hosts kind of got the show shelved.
Sorry, no, not at all. No, it was great. Spain winning it. And I think, Argentina, England, I think a lot of people thought, the way they went about it, Argentina, I think a lot of people were happy that Spain won the World Cup.
Spain, for me, were one of two of the best teams in the World Cup. France had unbelievable talent on show, but for whatever reason couldn't get it over the line, whereas Spain were consistent right through the tournament. They have a guy in Rodri who can control a game. And that was for me the sole difference between most teams. He was able to control it in Spain's favour and the possession, and obviously Argentina resorted to dirty tactics, dirty tricks, and they got what was coming to them, and it was quite sad to see. But ultimately, for me, the one of the best two teams won the World Cup, and I think that was good for football.
Peter, England too little, too late in the first half against France, but they took the bronze medal. Everyone's saying about Tuchel, should he go? They did come third. What's your memories of the World Cup, your summary?
Well, I think there were a combination. I think Kevin's right there. Over the piece, you would probably say Spain deserved to win it. Argentina, for me, showed that sometimes not the best teams, but the ones with the biggest guts. And I've always said that about players. If you've got to be able to fight and scratch and bite when you've not got the best, but then the magician, obviously, in Messi. And I thought against England, how they tamed control back from England in that particular match was an unbelievable performance. And I think people forget how much that left out in the pitch. I was just disappointed, and I love watching Spain and the players and whatever, but Lionel Scaloni was obviously one of the players I had at West Ham. I was just disappointed for him, because he's a fantastic man, and he'll be really, really disappointed the way the players conducted themselves, because he's the complete opposite from that. He was a gentleman, and I was disappointed for him that people are talking about Argentina and the way they behaved, because that's everything he's against. And obviously I'd love to have seen it for Messi, because I'm not so sure you're going to have another group of players that will be able to carry him. It sounds the wrong word. But if they play a team, Spain done it exceptionally well. They played at the halfway line saying, well, Messi's 30 yards offside, so he can't get involved. So we'll get to the halfway line, and that's when he's least effectual. I'm surprised that other teams didn't do that or couldn't get there, because once he's not involved, it takes a massive part, obviously, their game away. But that was the only thing I was disappointed in, the fact that Scaloni never got an opportunity to lift it again.
We're going to talk. Mark's been on, a Celtic fan, asking you how are Celtic going to line up front, how are they going to work it. That'll be in a moment or two. But when we're on the international, because the news comes soon, who's going to be the Scotland manager? What's your feeling, Kevin Kyle?
It's a really difficult one, because there's not too many names out there that I don't say get excited about, but when it comes to international football, I don't know what Peter's thoughts are on it, that most international managers these days is somebody who's possibly represented the country at some point, and is an older head coming to the end of his club career type role. If you think of your Gordon Strachan's, your Alex McLeish's when they've had the role, even Steve Clark. We don't have that. Most of our guys are young managers. John McGlynn maybe doesn't quite have the pedigree to... I'm saying doesn't have the pedigree. What he's done at Falkirk's been amazing, but maybe in terms of like an international career, he's not been involved in that. So who else is that? Ali McCoy has said that if he was offered the job, he couldn't possibly say no.
Would he be offered?
He said that on one of the shows. But he's been out of football for a number of years.
He's been at every game, mind you, hasn't he?
God,
he's
everywhere.
He covers the
and then
biggest
Stephen
games.
Naismith, who has had an opportunity in club football, who was Steve's assistant, he would obviously be the front runner because he's in there. But the main one for me would be David Moyes. But David Moyes is not going to relinquish that role at Everton.
Yeah. What about Darren Fletcher? It was Mark Guidi who mentioned it a few weeks ago. He just threw that name in. Peter, because I think I mentioned it to Kevin.
He did.
On the podcast, still available.
I don't know, Paul, because Darren's obviously trained Man United for a couple of games and whatever. So
did well.
Yeah, the interesting thing would be big personalities, when you're at Manchester United for sure. Scotland, is a difficult job. Look at the next fixtures. There's 4 within, 2 weeks?
Right, September,
So,
October,
but it's right
4
through,
games.
4
You're right.
games. It's quite incredible.
Over a 2-week spell.
And that is difficult. You know, once you've got players, the amount of time they're allowed to train and whatever, I found that really difficult when we went with the national team. I thought it was really strange that you turned up on a Sunday, and I've said it many times on here, and you weren't allowed to train with the full group to the Wednesday afternoon because their clubs wouldn't allow them, which for me is incredible. But that's the way it was. So they've got that side of it, and if you've not got the experience to deal with that, that could be a problem. For me, the standout character is David Moyes. I'm sure David would love to do the Scotland job before he retires for football or if he leaves Everton. I would still ask that question without a shadow of a doubt. I'd ask it because you don't get many opportunities to do your national team, and it's still a massive job. And I think it's a rebuild for Scotland in the respect of that. But I think I think it was time in the respect of that. I think Stevie's looked at it. He had a couple of competitions. They didn't work out particularly well. And he's probably looked at it and think, I'm not so sure. So now maybe the players need a freshness as well, a different voice. And people say, but that's similar to the way Stevie played as the way David plays. But I agree with Kevin. I look round about it and I can't think anybody else that stands out for me. You know, maybe somebody will surprise us coming out of it. I'm not so sure. The likes of Darren Fletcher for the national team, yes, he'll know the players. Players are around about the same age as him, but just obviously just a little bit younger with him. He'll have played with some of them, of course, but it takes more than that to be the national manager. You know, and I think it's going into a very, very important time for Scotland because a lot of these guys are getting to I don't mean the end, maybe the end of their national team. So where's the next group coming from?
News is coming up. Before it, I'll just tell you the Motherwell team, which kicks off in a few moments. Paulson, Sparrow, the captain, Gerwood Reich, Moorman, in fact, Moorman's the captain, Williams, Priestman, Fadinger, Booth, Vogt, Said, and Charles Cook. The news is next, and then we're back in a moment.
The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Hour 2 with the news that Scotland say we will boycott the World Cup. I mean, it's 4 years away, a lot could happen, but because of the Infantino-Trump proposals going to the 211 nations. So that's the latest in the last hour. Celtic have got another new striker. Rangers have a new defender. It's the new season. So much happening. 08, 08, 17, 17, 700. Gary's on the line from the Gorbals, a Celtic fan. Gary, good evening. Welcome back.
Evening, Paul. Welcome back, guys.
How you doing?
Cheers, Gary.
Yeah.
You all right, Gary?
Gary, a big day
Yeah, all good.
for you. We'll talk Eddie Howe for in a moment or two. But first of all, as a Celtic fan, what are you thinking about business so far?
Yeah, it's been a wee bit slow and a wee bit kind of tepid so far, Paul. And, you know, listen, I know that there's still a wee bit to go in terms of the transfer window before it shuts. I think in terms of getting, obviously, Casper Hogg over the line, massive deal. Camilo Duran's obviously hit the ground running.
Yep.
So that's good in pre-season. For me, it's a decision, obviously, Martin O'Neill has on Monday night whether to start either Duran or either Hogg. And for me, I don't think you're spending £11 million on a striker and putting them on the bench. So I'd like to see the two of them somehow play up front together. I think that would be the way to go in terms of the rest of them. Obviously, I think Hassan, for £4.5 million, I watched him in the World Cup and I thought he had a great tournament. But for me, I've not seen him at Real Oviedo. But what worries me slightly is that the fact that why are they letting him go for £4.5 million when he's had such a good World Cup there? Yeah. So I don't know if he's maybe just had a good tournament.
All right, Peter.
Sorry, Paul. I obviously watched that game, Egypt-Argentina, and when we say he had a good World Cup, he had a good few spells in that game. We didn't talk about him before that game. Yeah. So there's an idea that there's a lot of chat about this kid from that game. And sometimes in football, Peter, you can't go with just one game.
Quite a game, though, to perform.
Listen, quite a game, big stage, what have you.
Defending champions at the time.
Celtic Dundee on a Monday night might be being down. You never know. Listen, I'm just trying to give it from a different point of view that this is what happens in football. Somebody has one good game and we get excited about it. We think, oh, wow, he's whatever. But like you said, the callers, Gary just said there, he's not done a lot at Oviedo and there's not a lot of... So it's interesting to see how this one will play out.
Peter, would he fit in, Hassan?
Well, I agree with Kevin in the respect. Against Argentina, he was excellent. So much so that they changed their left back in the next game. So, no, he was fantastic in that game. But I agree with the respect of people always used to say never sign players after a good World Cup or European Championships. That was always the biggest thing. Yeah, you know, it doesn't matter who they were. Never be sucked in with that one. And it's been proven right a few times. But Celtic definitely need that because you can't keep depending on James Forrest. He's been unbelievable, but you can't keep depending on him. And the thing I liked about him, he played on the right-hand side and was right-footed. He was direct and went positive. And I think going to a club like Celtic slightly different because you're talking about 60,000 people there. You know, you're not going to be resting your laurels. I don't know what's played in Spain, if it's 30,000, 25,000, whatever. And that pushes you, Paul, at times. That's why I'm so surprised that the wingers that Celtic have brought in have not been lifted with that, you know, not performed at the levels because it's the perfect place to go and play as a winger. Get the ball to them, go and take a full back on and put a cross in the box. And they get so excited with that. So if a player can come and do that, you know, and that's what Celtic are crying out for me. So if he comes and plays like the way he did in that particular match, I agree with what Kevin's saying there, that I thought there'd be a lot more chapping the doors if he was that good. But sometimes they surprise you because if he comes for that amount of money, it's like, I talked about it earlier on, Nygren. Nygren comes for 1.2 or 3 million. There was no trumpets or whatever about him. He was unbelievable last year. Let's not be kid ourselves. The amount of goals he scored from midfield is incredible. We can talk about technique and whatever and what he does in games, but the amount of goals he scored from midfield, big goals, massive goals, and he only cost 1.2 million.
Incredible.
So it's not the price you play. The interesting thing is, and I agree with Gary, how are we going to play with the strikers? Because Duran, for me, going in pre-season, he scored the goals. He likes to play on the last line. I hope we're not signing number 9s who become left wingers and right wingers.
That drives you nuts.
Drives me crazy. If it's Duran, Ho and Osman as your front three, as in that's where you're going to play. It's up for you to grab the jersey. Whether you cost 11 million or whether you're Osman as a young man coming through, that's up to you, because that was always the case.
So what would you do? Sorry, if you were Martin O'Neill, what would you do on Monday night for the game with Dundee?
Well, I think I would pick two of them.
Yep. Which ones?
I'm not sure because I've not seen Ho playing. Paul, I know he said he's been playing games. Osman played on the left-hand side every time he's come on when Duran's still been on the pitch in pre-season. Duran's looked a right player. Duran's one of the ones as a midfield player that's great, because his first run is to come and then go in behind. He wants that early ball in behind. And if you pass the ball forward quickly or put crosses in early, he's going to be between the sticks. So that's what I've been really impressed with him. So I'd hate to take that away from him now. He's got the bit between his teeth. Now all of a sudden I'm going to play him outside left or something like that, or outside right. I don't think so, because you wouldn't get the best from me what I've looked at the players so far. So it looks like me a bit of him and Ho through there. That's what I would look at, but then you've got to balance the team then.
Okay. Let's hear from Casper. We'll just call him Casper. Oh, is it Who? I think. But here he is saying about, it's always the first question. How do you feel being here in Glasgow?
Thank you. And first of all glory to God to sit here, but it feels amazing. I just watched the pitch now with the guys, and it looks amazing. It's goosebumps, just nice. Big stadium, good facilities, so I can't complain.
Likes the pitch, which of course will look brilliant at this part of the year. It is brilliant, isn't it? All the stadia look amazing, but he was impressed by the size of it. You mentioned that earlier, the size of, Celtic Park compared to the Bodo Glimt. But my goodness, if Celtic could get the success that Bodo Glimt have had in the top flight in the Champions League. But that's an interesting
point, Paul.
Yeah.
Because he's played in big games and been able to handle that, as Bodo have done. I know it's a difficult place to go because it's so cold during the European run. But these guys have been able to handle it. And he's got a wee bit of personality. You see the way he turns up with the ponytail and whatever, you know what I mean? So all these sort of things, as if, listen, this is for me. And I love guys that walk out that way. Then you've got to walk it.
You like a ponytail?
After a few haircuts, no ponytail.
Yeah. Here's a wee bit more from him. Training with the players in the last couple of days.
Amazing. They are also just humans, so they were totally chill and calm and just some good footballers. So I was happy to come play on the grass with the guys and see them and be with them in 2 days now, so can't complain.
He's pretty chilled, isn't he? What can he achieve?
Yes, of course, and it is a big club, Celtic, and first of all, we also have to qualify first. But as I said before, I take one day at a time, but you're allowed to dream, of course.
I think this Champions League he's talking about, where he did have success, as we mentioned, with Bodo Glimt.
Yeah, I hope I can bring it to the team and to my teammates also, that we can have that feeling together, that we just happy to be together and want to do our best for each other also. So I hope I can bring that.
And the £11 million tag, I thought that was the Engels fee as well, was 11 million. So he's probably the joint highest player ever.
It must be the add-ons, Paul, something like that,
okay. Here he is.
It's the first time for me also, so I actually don't know. But I think it's good to have pressure on you. That's how the sport is. That's also because the fans, they know it's a big club, so that's what it is.
Gary, whatever happens, your team will be in the mix. 14 wins out of 15 for the title. What are you thinking about Rangers and the changes over the summer, and Hearts? Who are your biggest opposition?
Yeah, I think definitely Hearts aren't going to be anywhere near it. I think they've ran the race last year, and I think it will go back to being between Celtic and Rangers. Really, listen, I would love a competitive season again. Where Hearts come again, and maybe Hibs step it up. And I know we didn't have a great result in Europe, but you want to see a competitive league like that. Everybody does, and it was nervy last year, and it was brilliant. I still watch back the clips from the tail end of last season, and still watch with trepidation, still watch with kind of nerves, even though I know what the result was. But yeah, I think it will come back down to Celtic and Rangers, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing how it's going to go, because obviously Derek McInnes at Rangers, it's going to feel like, with Martin O'Neill back at Celtic, it's going to feel like almost like Martin O'Neill's first season when it was a strong Rangers team. And I think we will go toe to toe all season. And listen, whether we win the league, I'm not too sure. I know obviously having players like Duran and Hogg, if they can team up, if they can pair up and get that chemistry going, then listen, I think we'll go in and win 6 in a row. But Rangers getting in Cammy Devlin on a free, I think was an absolute steal. I would have loved him at Celtic, to be fair, and obviously Shankland up top. I just think Rangers seem to have bought well, but I know the Rangers fans aren't slightly happy with some of the business that they're doing as well, in terms of dragging their heels almost a bit like Celtic. So it'll be a really interesting season, but I think genuinely, it will go toe to toe again.
you stay with us just now, Gary, because Paul is on, a Rangers fan. Hi, Paul. Good to hear you
Hi,
again.
Paul.
Welcome back.
Hope you had a good summer.
Hi, Paul.
Yeah, brilliant.
Paul.
Thank you. Yeah, we just wish we'd won in America.
Yep.
You know, I know we won against Haiti. So what are you thinking? You hear Gary there. There's been a lot of chat,
Hi.
obviously, about the Rangers signings. How are you feeling then as a big Rangers fan? How do you feel about your chances of winning the league?
I was quite happy with the game against West Ham. I don't know if any of you guys seen it, but I thought Derek McInnes has certainly brought steeliness to us, Paul. We're hard to score against. I mean, West Ham are a pretty good team. I mean, I know they've been relegated, but they've got good players in there, and we were solid at the back, really solid at the back, and I felt that was a bit of identity with Rangers that's been lacking for a long time. Where I'm a wee bit worried is going forward, Paul. I think I could count in one hand. Chamita had one chance and Shankland had one chance, and that was it. So we need a bit more firepower up front and maybe wingers and things like that. But what the other guys saying now, you've got on Cammy Devlin, great player. We've been missing somebody like that. And I say the word Stuart McCall. I know people, Peter and that might shout me down here, right? But he's got that kind of noose about him. And, you know, Celtic have had that in abundance for years, whether it's Scott Brown, Callum McGregor and whatnot. Cammy Devlin gives you that bite in the middle. And I'm quite satisfied with the business we've done so far. And it's easy getting players in, it's getting others ones out. You know, Ross McCausland and John Strutter and so on. But no, I'm looking forward to it, Paul. Definitely going to be stronger at the back, 100%. Derek McInnes has got that. So I don't know what the guys think they're basing the game against West Ham or not.
Yeah, I seen the West Ham game. I thought Rangers were a better side, especially first half. And I see what you're saying about Cammy Devlin. He's not Stuart McCall, that's for sure, yet.
No,
He's got a long way
I
to
know.
go for that. But he is,
yeah.
as I said to you, I think him, Godfrey, Ross McCrory, they've definitely brought a competitive edge to Rangers. There's no doubt of that. Obviously, Lawrence Shankland being a Rangers supporter, a different type of player. But these boys have brought a competitive edge, which I feel at times Rangers have missed out a little bit with.
Yeah.
You know, so that's going to be important. The wide areas is going to be interesting. Just keep talking about wide players. Is Curtis going to play for Rangers, or is he going to be a bit part under Derek? You know, that's going to be an interesting one, because he went to Kilmarnock, done ever so well. Is he going to come back to Rangers and have that effect? Is Derek going to trust him? Is Derek going to play three at the back, which he does at times at Hearts? Is he going to do that with Rangers to give him two strikers up the pitch?
Kevin, would you play Finlay Curtis?
I think based on his time at Kilmarnock, getting a Scotland call up for the World Cup, you have to give him an opportunity through pre-season to see how he beds in. He may, from what I've heard and what I've seen, maybe hasn't hit the ground running maybe as Rangers fans would expect, but we still have to factor in he is just a young kid. There is a lot of learning and experience still to come. He'll have had unbelievable experiences being in the World Cup, and he'll be the first to try and get himself out of that Rangers starting 11 and make an impact. Derek probably hoped he would make an impact. He maybe hasn't had that yet, but he will get opportunities. So like you said there earlier, Paul, Rangers do need some more width, I would say, in the attacking sense, because if you're going to be brutally honest, Shankland and Chamita will score you goals, but they won't score you goals if you don't have service.
The supply.
They just won't. That's just because Shankland will link the play and he'll get balls off of whoever it is that plays in the midfield. But Shankland tends to come and get balls, look to get the ball out wide, then let's get up the park and get in the box and put balls in the box. If you're not going to have that, you're going to struggle.
What do you think is going to happen on Raskin? The manager was asked yesterday, the manager being Derek McInnes. Raskin back, I think, today.
Not that I'm aware of, not.
Any word about him moving?
Not that I'm aware of, not. Nico's due to arrive late tomorrow. But again, these conversations are between the club and the agent, and you know, whether that's something that comes in, I'm pretty sure we'll look at that if it comes in, but nothing as yet.
And the squad update ahead of the game tomorrow night?
Tello, Asgard trained this morning. He obviously came off on Sunday against West Ham, but the shoulder's not causing him any discomfort. So he'll train fully again tomorrow and obviously okay for the game. And Cammy's had a little calf knock, but will fully train tomorrow. We've just resisted him making contact, which is a bit hard for him, to be honest. But he's been doing some work with the physios, doing some ball work on his own, and he'll train fully tomorrow. So the only one's young Scally, who's been out throughout pre-season. Connor Barron's a wee bit behind. He's only had, I think, 7 or 8 days of pre-season. Connor's had a little knee niggle. We didn't allow him to do the pre-season before we went to Spain. Never done anything in Spain really with the team. But he's picked up his work now with this week, so Sunday might come too quick for him. And Cifuentes has had an operation, is out as well. So other than that, we're good to go.
Paul, what do you think tomorrow night then? Dundee United. I mean, wherever you go, you hear the manager saying that's going to be tough, but I would imagine you travel with great expectations.
Oh, definitely. I think I'm more confident going for with Derek's kind of philosophy. I think at times Paul will be a bit hard to watch, maybe. What I mean by that is it's going to be quite defensive, but we'll come out with games maybe 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, things like that, and then hopefully maybe even into the next transfer window he gets a bit more building. But it's looking positive so far, and like Kevin said there, we need definitely that kind of creative wide player. Desama, I'm a bit surprised at. Thought he would have maybe come on a bit. But Asgard, similar to what I say, Paul, was Asgard coming back. I think I don't know what Kevin and Peter think, but I think under previous matches he might have hidden away, whereas he's itching to get up, and I think he'll come on. I don't know what you guys think about that, but that's good news. That
Kevin,
I think on Asgard, the World Cup's probably helped him.
Oh, his confidence,
because he did perform quite well.
Aye.
So he's going to come back here, and remember, Peter probably would agree with me this one. Every player you sign doesn't he always hit the gate, doesn't hit the ground running first season. They take time to bed in, and then sometimes you see them better in a second season, because that could be the case with Asgard. Yeah. Paul, what I was wanting to ask you was, you talked about the style that Derek was going to play, and it could be quite hard to watch at times.
Aye.
Are you quite happy with having negativity or just getting results? If come the end result, you end up title winners, you'll suffer to be title winners. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously Derek's teams are always kind of 4-4-2. You know what you're getting. Sometimes it can be a dogfight, and he seems to get results. Are you prepared for that, and will you back that? Because obviously, in the modern day, Paul, me and Peter's had this conversation before the show started that everybody wants to talk about the big fancy words that are being plagued about, but football's no changed.
I know.
My point is that the end game is you need 3 points every time you play. Are you prepared to get it, whatever way you need to get it?
Given the last 15 years, Kevin, with limited success, I'm prepared to go down this route. And Paul knows when I'm always on the phone here, I always talk back to the benchmark being in my era, Walter Smith. And Walter Smith's second season here, it was difficult to watch at times, but Walter had limited financial implications with the club and everything else. But we built a team. I remember one conference he did, he said, we need to make Rangers hard to beat. And by God, he made us hard to beat. Really hard to beat. And that's the way I think Derek will go down. Hopefully.
I'm going to bring Gary back in a minute. Peter, in your notes there, I see you'd written down Asgard.
Yeah, well, I just want to say, do you think he can get the best out of him? Because the biggest problem is he's trying to find a position for him. He's not a winger. He's going to be sort of that floater behind the front line. I don't know if Rangers are going to play that way, but he's the one with the most talent. Rangers don't have a door opener at this moment in time. Cammy Devlin will go and win it and get it, feed people and whatever. But he needed to feed people who can open the door. I think Asgard's got that ability. I think he's not shown that. So that'd be interesting to see, would they go with an Asgard and a Shanklin more than an Asgard and a Chermiti, if you understand what I'm saying. Sure. Because somebody can go and link and play that sort of defensive role as Paul's talking on there. So they're not getting opened up too often. Derek doesn't, he go forward quickly. That's the one thing I noticed about him. The only thing is, I'm going to ask the other question was, Fernandes, where do you see him with Rangers? I think when he's playing with Rangers, there's always a possibility of him giving the ball away in dangerous areas, which is going to crucify. You know,
he's quite lackadaisical at times,
and there could be big money coming in for him.
Exactly,
so that was mentioned.
For me, that's why I'm surprised that Derek's not went for a Scott McKenna or something like that, who's just qualified for the Champions League. A natural left side. Obviously these guys, but I would say I look at he's played with Aberdeen.
He's not got a game with Hearts.
All right,
his favourite Hearts.
I'm going to bring Gary back in. Gary, I'll ask Paul the same thing. What's your 3-2-1? Who's going to be third in the Premiership, second and first? So we know how it finished. Rangers were third, Hearts second, Celtic the winners. What's going to happen May 2027? Gary?
I think, to be honest, I think Hibs will probably come good this season. I think they'll
Really?
take third.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't
Thomas
think- I
in
don't think
LA,
Hearts- I
the San
don't think Hearts
Francisco
get
will be
third.
delighted. Honestly, because they're obviously, we know they're struggling in Europe. But okay, so you think it's going to be Hibs third, second? What did you say? Celtic?
I'll go Rangers second. I can't start the new season on a downer.
No.
To be fair, I'll listen, as I say, I think it'll go toe to toe, and I think it will go probably down to the wire again near the split. But hopefully, if we get our transfer business, and hopefully if we learn from last season in the Champions League debacle, hopefully get the players in before these Champions League playoff matches, and try and get. The good thing is obviously having two strikers like Duran and Hogg. Hopefully, as I say, they can hit the ground running on Monday.
That's right. Only 3 weeks to go before the Champions League qualifier, isn't it? The 18th, 19th. Before you go, here's Martin O'Neill speaking about Monday night, Flag Day, Flag Night, Dundee.
They caused us all sorts of problems last season, and we got a last-minute equaliser in the Scottish Cup. Otherwise, we were out of the competition. They played exceptionally well that day at Celtic Park. I expect very much the same again. We won with a late goal that started our run at Dens Park last season, and I will take that all day long or all evening long on Monday.
You probably have to do it without Alistair Johnson. On a final word on him before you go. He's been good for you.
In terms of Martin O'Neill,
Sorry, no, Alistair Johnson. He'll be off to Everton.
Absolutely. Is he going to Everton?
He's going to Everton. It hasn't been announced yet, but it's my understanding. Well, I don't like that phrase. It's my understanding. Look, Everton want him. Celtic know that he might have to go. So maybe 15 million. But I think he'll be playing at Everton. Yeah. What do you feel about Alistair Johnson?
Absolutely brilliant player. Love him to bits. I think he's been brilliant for Celtic if he does go. I know, obviously, when playing the World Cup and he performed well, I expected big bids to come in for him. For me, I think if AJ goes in, I think definitely Celtic should go out and get Julian Araujo back at the club and make him the right back. I thought AJ was captain material, future captain material, to be honest. But if I could just finish on just Eddie Howe before I go, I think a massive 5 years, the best 5 years of my Newcastle supporting Newcastle. I think he's given some magical nights under the lights at St James's Park, and he's brought Champions League football back to the club, and cup finals and heartache and delirium with beating Liverpool. He gave us the best day of my life, football fan wise.
And the two defeats to Sunderland last year as well.
He's got to get it in there, hasn't he? Yeah.
That's a low blow. That's kicking.
That's a low blow, isn't it?
No, listen, I think the writing's on the wall. And I'm not too sure about this boy Jasso. It's potentially coming in, the German boy. But for me, I would have went for Glasner or Areola before they moved to Forest and Liverpool. But
too late.
Listen, I really want to say thank you to Eddie Howe for everything he's gave to Newcastle. Honestly, I think it's been brilliant.
Thank you, Gary. I'm sure he's tuned in. Thanks so much. Now, Gary in the Gorbals. Great to hear you on. Thank you.
Gary.
Before you go then, Paul, you're 3-2-1. Who is it for this season? Motherwell are 1 up at the moment, so there's some good news. Hopefully they're well. Going through 2 up already, so 3-0 on aggregate. Joshvin. Paul, 3-2-1.
Good for Motherwell. Surprise in here, I'll go for Rangers number 1.
Yep.
I'll be very tight. I think Celtic 2, and here's a wee surprise. You guys are probably going, no chance. I'm going for Aberdeen.
Right.
Reason being, Stephen Robinson, I think it's got them on a solid footing. There's no European kind of issues to deal with there. I think they might, and they're a big team, Paul. They're a massive team
for sure.
So I'm going to pump for Aberdeen in third place.
Paul, thanks a million. Great to hear you on the programme as well.
Cheers,
Quick
Paul.
break, and then we're back. Oh.
The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas.
Yeah, what a summer it has been. And it continues. We're only on the 30th of July. It was actually 6 years ago tomorrow. James reminded me that we started the Go Radio Football Show. And we started the first one. It was myself, Rob McLean, Cy Ferry, Barry Ferguson. Did I miss anyone else out? I think that was us on the first night.
To be fair, you've stepped up the talent.
Lauren Shanklin, talking about the team standards, he's also been talking about his role model in football.
It was Barry Ferguson for me. He was always my Rangers hero growing up, and maybe that was being the captain as well. You get the opportunity to lift the trophies at the end of the season when they won them. So it was probably that fact, and the thought of that feeling is obviously something you'd want as a captain.
No surprise, really, isn't it? I mean, they need, if he could be, half successful as Barry was. What do you think?
Lawrence must have been 3 when he's seen Barry picnic. It's the last time Rangers won some.
Fighting talk, absolutely.
You've got to go meet
where you go tonight.
Exactly. So it must have been. Was that in black and white?
I'll play back-to-back cuts now. Derek McInnes, Lauren Shanklin, and anyone else we can think of from Ibrox. Give us a call. 0808 17 17 700. It's going to be some season. Who's going to come third? A few people are on asking who wants to go first. So I'll get your 3, 2, 1. Who's
I've
third?
got opinions, and that's all they are.
We know.
Because Motherwell started well in Europe.
Yeah. One up at the
had
moment.
A great season last season.
Yeah.
And by all accounts, from what I've heard, the new manager is top.
You like him? Alfred Johansson.
That's
Good.
what I've heard.
Good.
So I'm going to say that Motherwell will stick to the same style of kind of philosophy they bedded in last year with the possession-based type of football.
Which everyone loved watching. Can I just tell everyone, Lucas Fadinger was the goal scorer, the penalty. So they're 3 up.
So for me, obviously missing quite a lot of the mainstays from last year that's tonight in the European game especially. But I'm going to take a gamble on Motherwell.
Okay. To come number 3. Who do you think, Peter, who's going to come third?
For number 3, I think it has to be Dundee United or Aberdeen. It has to be, because I think there's pressure on both the clubs. People talk about disappointing seasons or whatever. I think they've got to step up to the plate now. They can't be getting taken over, and I'm not being disrespectful to Motherwells and whatever, Falkirks, who've done tremendously well. For Aberdeen and Dundee United, with the fan bases and everything, the expectation that goes with them and the history that goes with them, I think one of them has to step up to the plate. And if they don't, it could be trouble for the managers, unfortunately, because I think there's an expectation at both the clubs that other guys, Stevie Robinson's just in, Jim's done a fantastic job of balancing it again, for losing it a little bit. And all of a sudden, now I think there's an expectation that they have to be in there fighting for at least that third position.
So, there's no point in me saying who's going to be second. Really, the question for you two is, who is going to win it? Kevin Kell. Kevin, what do you reckon?
For me, I'm basing my opinion solely on what's happened before. I think that Celtic, they're going to lose Alistair Johnson if your story's accurate, which it always is, Paul. And I look at their starting 11 from last season and the 2 players they've already signed, with possibly another 2 or 3. Celtic are having to spend big to get top quality in. And I think even if it was Arojo to come in with Carter, Vickers, Scales, Tierney, that for me is already like the strongest back four in the Scottish League. And then you go McGregor, possibly Bauer, possibly Young in one wing. Left wing might be an issue in terms, but I think they'll pick somebody. Say they brought in Hassan, and then Ho and Duran potentially being a mixture of that is extremely strong. I like what Rangers have done. I like it a lot, but it's a transitional period. A new manager, tried and tested players that know what they're doing. If they hit the ground running, then my mind could change, because that's what will happen. It'll change across the season. But at this minute, based on what I've seen and evidence from the past, Celtic for me slight favourites.
I'll come back to you about the tactics, or not the tactics, the strategy then for Derek. Because I think back to when just a few years ago Celtic won the League Cup. Remember, they won it when they weren't expected to, and the manager went on to get the double. Do you think if Derek throws everything at the League Cup and says, go in, win the first trophy of the season, and then let's see what happens, rather than thinking about, the whole season, every one of the games. Just
There's
go
always-
out, win the League Cup.
There's always a balance in that with the League Cup because it's so early in the season. It's a case of you're fighting in all fronts. Rangers are obviously potentially going to be in the Europa League, and it's going to be the League Cup's going to get in the way. How big's the squad? So there's always that point where something kind of has to sacrifice. But when you're Derek McInnes, who's just becoming the Rangers manager, if he can bring silverware early, that can only be a good thing.
Because it was such a springboard, Peter, wasn't it, for Ange to win the League Cup?
League Cup's massive, Paul.
Yeah.
In the respect to that, I don't care. Domestically, you've got to dominate. And then Europe should take care of itself, hopefully. But you have to, obviously, domestically is the most important thing for Derek McInnes. He should no other thoughts in his mind. Europe doesn't matter. Obviously wants to win in the games, of course.
Yeah.
But for me, I'd be saying the exact same for Celtic. You know, win the League Cup, then you've got to go and challenge to win the Scottish Cup and try and win that, and then you have to win the league. There is no gimme here, unfortunately, for Celtic or Rangers. When you come in as Celtic manager, whether they've not been successful, what is it, 15 years they've had one trophy in the respect to that one league championship.
League. Yeah.
So if you're looking at that and you're saying to yourself, oh, well, they've got a couple of years before they can tie that back in, that's just not going to happen. They're expected to win the league next year. That's the way they've been talking. That's the expectation that's been told to every player. And that's what's told to Celtic every time you walk in the door. Because I've been in the door there, Kevin's been in the door at Rangers. There's one thing you're expected to do is win the league. There's no gimme time. And there'll be lots of questions asked if they don't, because they've went down the Rangers route now. They're talking about bringing Rangers men in. They're talking about this, that, and the next thing. There's so many false dawns, the Rangers saying the same things all the time. Now it's up there, they have to deliver now. And that becomes an extra pressure as well. And it's who handles the pressure.
Yeah.
If playing for a Celtic or Rangers. It doesn't matter if Ho costs £11 million. Can he go and play for Celtic?
Yeah.
Can he go and play under that pressure if the games are not going particularly well and he's not maybe scored in his first few games? Can he handle that and win that back? All these things. And it's a different type of pressure, as I've said to people. To your involvement, and Kevin knows, to your involvement, you don't understand the pressure. It goes a long way trying to be successful for either of the clubs.
So you reckon Celtic to win
Celtic to win it,
Rangers...
yes. Rangers
second,
no, I think it'll be a two-horse race.
Right.
I definitely do it.
You don't see a Hearts?
No, I don't see a Hearts. And I think Hearts, what I've seen in them so far, I'm only going so far, with the performance I've seen in the games in Europe, they'd be lucky to be in the top six.
Really? Yeah.
Well, go with it. And that's a big change because they've lost big players.
Of course, the
And it's
Hearts been
unfortunate.
ripped out of them.
And their managers away, all these things, you know. And listen, let's be perfectly honest. Celtic and Rangers weren't great last year. And Hearts still couldn't go over the line. And I thought Hearts were okay. I didn't think they were great. But they'd still lost it for way in front. So there was something they're missing anyway. You know, so they've got big players, they've got a big change round. It's going to be interesting, but I don't see them being up there challenged. I just think it's going to be a two-horse race. And whoever's going to be, they're all going to be fighting for third place.
Here's good news. Motherwell are 2 up.
Amazing.
Charles Regan
Fantastic.
Cook. It's great, isn't it?
Fantastic.
Do you want to revise then?
No.
Motherwell?
Well, listen, I hope Motherwell will continue.
Yeah, of course.
Because they were the best coach team, as I said.
Yeah.
The best manager was Martin O'Neill because he won the league. The best coach team was Motherwell Football Club last year. And I hope they play the way they did last year because they were a joy to watch and gave Celtic a doing a few times. That's for sure.
It was the craziest season, wasn't it? Isn't that brilliant? Motherwell 2 up, because you'd see it, you know, with Hibs getting a battering the other week, and you go, here we go again. Hearts getting battered in the Champions League qualifier. What was it, 6-0 in aggregate?
See, on that, Paul, I watched a bit of the Hibs game last week, and Hibs were the dominant team. They just didn't perform very well in terms of the attacking third. They misplaced passes, and it was quite a lethargic approach to the game, and the decision making towards the end in terms of the other team getting that second goal. Boys broke through and just bring them down, give a foul, don't concede a second goal.
But lethargic, they should be bursting to do well.
But Hibs have history of this type of thing in Europe where they've lost to a so-called minnow in the past, and then they've trounced them at home and got over the line. So we're hoping that Hibs can do that tonight up at Easter Road. But Motherwell, for me, I would say they're expected to win this tie over the 2 legs, and they're showing comfortably that they're doing it, but they still have to go and do it. I think they've just went and got a like-for-like manager, and I think they've just basically picked up same style, and that sometimes is a good thing, because we see a lot of managers getting touted into teams, say like a Derek McInnes come into a possession-based football team. That's not going to work. because Derek has a different style. So Derek's come into Rangers and brought his types of players that he needs for his style to work and bed the rest in. So listen, it's we need our teams to be doing amazing in Europe because we're going further and further down with this coefficient and what have you, and it's been harder and harder for the top teams to actually get into the Champions League and stuff.
Jamie's on from Kilmarnock, 0808 17 17 700. He's saying, Kevin, you first. How are Killie going to do? Jamie's a massive fan of Kilmarnock, along with his son Toby. How are you going to do? I say your old team.
I think they've got to be optimistic in terms of how Neil McCann, Billy Dodds got through the end of last season, because they put in some really big performances to keep themselves in the league.
Top six
this time might be a push, but we all have these ideas and hopes and aspirations for everybody. We're already writing off Hearts because they've had 2 bad games in Europe. We're talking about Motherwell doing well again. St Mirren's got they've made McLeish a permanent fixture.
We'll come to them shortly, but what about Killie? What do you reckon? So they start on Sunday, 2:00 at St Johnstone.
They've made a few signings. They brought in the young boy from Rangers, is it Bailey Rice? Who came in the same time, was it
Lennon
Neil
Miller and all
Miller?
that,
at that time, and the two of them, Lennon's went off and done amazing, and Bailey's kind of been, so can Bailey Rice be that type of Finlay Curtis player that Kilmarnock had last season? But Kilmarnock, I think, for me, under the guidance of Neil McCann and the signings that they have made, I think Kilmarnock will do all right.
Peter?
I agree. I think they've got 2 good coaches and 2 good managers, and both have done both. They understand what it takes to win games, and I thought Kilmarnock done very well under them to finish the season the way they did. Similar, as I say, I'm going to put a long shot on here with St Johnstone. I think Kilmarnock, St Johnstone, you wouldn't believe it. I think they could both, because of the way Samuel Valakari plays his teams play. I watched them a few times last year in the Championship, and I was really impressed with them. They could be a surprise package.
Really?
They could be a Falkirk. You know what Falkirk did? That was the way St Johnstone. I've been really impressed with the way he's handled. And Neil McCann and Billy Dodds, I think the experience that they've got, he'll know the players that he needs to improve the team. He'll not bring in players just to fill out the squad. He'll bring in ones that he thinks, he'll play for me. So bringing the Bailey Rices, they're not coming in to sit on a bench. They're coming in to play. And they've got to play under an expectation.
And he needs first team football, doesn't he, Bailey Rice?
Yes. And listen, Neil's not doing it, and Billy's not just doing it to give Rangers a favour. He's doing it to be Kilmarnock to be successful.
And the other thing with Kilmarnock that I want to touch on is that the investment they've had from behind the scenes in their new training ground, it's nearly ready.
Well done, Billy.
Now they've got their new hybrid grass park, so they're back to grass. I remember, you'll remember as well, Peter, Kilmarnock was the best pitch in
by a
Scottish
country mile.
football.
Yeah, I remember watching.
It was amazing. Loved it.
I know.
And
Big
huge park. You used to play your Scotland 21 games there because it was such a great place to play. So for me, the outside investment into the club demands that this club needs to grow. So for me, I think Kilmarnock are just going to improve. I don't think they'll need that. I don't think they'll go back to that fighting relegation. 6 games to go, change their manager. So fingers crossed for Kilmarnock, because I've got a special place for them as well.
Yeah, Jamie, that's it. We're hoping that Killie will do well this season. Billy Dodds joined us as well at the tail end of last season. During the break, he was brilliant on the show. I mean, he's a big loss to us.
No,
I'm just looking at you, Peter, there. No, he was great. He came in like Kevin in the shorts. We're back just after this. Oh,
The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas.
thank you for making the switch. Thank you for joining us as we go into a brand new season, which kicks off tomorrow night. It's on all weekend. There'll be a lot on the telly as well. Kicks off at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Dundee United against Rangers. Saturday, Falkirk against St Mirren. Aberdeen against Hearts. That's the 5:30 game, the Dons. St Johnstone Killie, as we mentioned, on Sunday at 2, and then Hibs against Motherwell at 4:30. Motherwell 2 up at the moment against Torshvin, so they'll be going through in Europe. That's the good news. And Celtic against Dundee Monday at 7:30. Peter, you'll be there, I take it, on Celtic
I'll be there.
TV?
Yes, I'll be there, Paul.
On with
Looking
Jerry?
forward to it.
Looking forward to that.
Looking forward to getting another flag unfurled.
Yeah, indeed. It's gonna,
As I said to your champions for 6 weeks, Paul.
Yeah, I heard someone else saying, it could be 6 in a row. So that's 5 in a row, isn't it? Yeah, for Celtic. The numbers go up and up because that becomes a pressure when it gets to 9 and then 10, if that is the case. But we're going to find out.
Paul, it's all about winning it.
Isn't it?
It's not about the numbers and what number it is. Just win the next one. That's what you've got to go out and do. And that's what I'm saying about Derek McInnes, who's been there saying to Rangers, we're out here to win the league. The exact same Martin O'Neill will be saying. There is no about coming second or let's fight for the title. I'll be let's go and win it. Nothing else.
A few things. John Souttar's been mentioned for Leicester City and Swansea. Kevin,
I think that'd be a good move for John. He's
Yeah.
obviously out of favour at Rangers, and the way he plays a centre half, the English Championship could be just a place for Big John Souttar because he is aggressive. I think John's a good player. I think he's been unlucky at Rangers possibly, but a move for John to keep him playing would be ideal. And down south, I don't think John's played down south, has he?
No,
his brother Harry. His brother
of course.
Harry's at.
He's at Leicester just now, isn't he?
That's right.
Here's Derek McInnes speaking about him.
I don't know, to be honest. I spoke with Dan, the recruitment team, this morning, and it wasn't mentioned, so I don't know where that's at. John's just been working away brilliantly just to try and keep himself right. But I think he might have one or two options, but I don't know, to be honest. Listen, he's in the squad. He's in training with us, and he's in the building. But it's just maybe a situation where John might well look to go elsewhere to get regular football. That's we've had a conversation about that, and I think he's looking at options to explore. But it's got to be somewhere that he wants to go as well.
So still more business to be done at Rangers and at Celtic. Martin O'Neill.
I think we're trying to get some quality into the football club. We've lost Dyson. He was a big player for us, and so we have to replace him. And I think that we're doing our best to do that. We will get some more players in. There's no question about that also. But yeah, I want quality rather than quantity.
Dyson Maeda in Ipswich, a part of the country you know well.
Oh, they'll love him there.
Yeah.
No, they'll love him. It's a fantastic stadium to play in.
Is it?
Brilliant stadium. The crowd are really close. They're really passionate. Norwich and Ipswich fans are so passionate about their football club.
The Tractor Boys.
Exactly. It's Old Farm Derby, they call it down there.
Yeah.
But it's a fantastic play. I'm sure Kevin's played there many times as well. The atmosphere's brilliant. The crowd are right next to you. And they will live off Dyson, chasing and harrying and putting tackles in because, as I say, the crowd will respond to that down there. He'll have a big supporter in the Terry Butcher because Terry goes to all the games as well. So
legend.
It'd be nice to see if he's shouting on a Celtic man now.
Indeed. Kevin, Maeda, he was an enigma, but what a player. Player of the year just, a couple of years ago. 33 goals season before last.
If you're any kid watching football and see the effort and work rate and desire that man had playing for Celtic, he could be having a bad game technically, but in terms of his work rate made up for it, the way he pressed goalkeepers, sometimes he was like, you think of that goal, I think he scored for Celtic against Rangers after about 3 seconds when Tavernier tried to clear it, ricocheted off him. A great attitude to the game, and he obviously let everybody know that his dream was to play in the English Premiership, and thankfully for him, Ipswich have got promoted and took the opportunity to give him a chance, and I wish him all the best because he has been, I think he was obviously Player of the Year at one point here in Scotland. And he's earned his move, and we just hope that he gets down there and doesn't become another Kyogo type because Kyogo's kind of disappeared and we've not really heard too much.
He's got 5 league titles as well.
It is incredible, isn't it?
5 league titles, 79, 80 goals, and I've never seen him as a striker.
No, I know. Peter, that last game of the season, few spots in maybe Sarachi played a big part. In that
I'd attend him all day long.
Yeah, and it was 4 minutes to go when the goal came in. I know the linesman was up and it was going to be, and of course it was allowed. The goal was a good one, and he played such a pivotal part because if he'd gone into injury time, if spots and maybes, but a draw was enough for Hearts. and it could have gone either way. But when you think about it, Maeda's part
along
huge.
with Martin O'Neill and Maeda,
Mhm.
that's who won Celtic the league in their last 6 games. I know the rest of the players played their part, but never got to the level still. But they two, for me, I think Maeda scored in every one of the games near enough. I think, if I'm right, I think he scored 6 in the 6 games, which was quite incredible considering the season he'd had, Paul. Because I thought he was really poor, his body language, and I know sometimes that's not because he's not trying. It was just the way the team was playing and everything. And he was different positions, different managers, all these different things went on, and we forget that about that team last year. You know, it was quite incredible. He ended up winning the league, but he was massive. I would say, along with Martin O'Neill, he was the most important cog in the wheel.
So Martin O'Neill, well, he won the double. It is absolutely remarkable. Lon Shanklin was the player of the year, wasn't he, last year?
Yep.
I got that one wrong.
No, he got it early, didn't he?
He got it early, that's right. And then Derek McInnes got the manager of the year. The year before, it was Dyson Maeda. This is an impossible one. I wonder who's going to win it this season. So there's such a long way to go. There's more players to come in. But I hear your 1 and 2, you both think it's going to be Celtic, but it's going to be Celtic Rangers head-to-head this season. Because listen, it doesn't get any better than last season in that it went to the last game of the season.
Last minutes, Paul. 2 minutes for time.
Yeah.
2 minutes for time, and quite incredible. But as I say, that's why Sirachi was massive for that period in the game he came on.
He gambled.
He gambled a few times, and a fantastic pass. Young Osmond does a brilliant ball. I'm not so sure if the keeper should have done better and cut the cross out, but he doesn't. Dyson Maeda's in the middle of the box, but we said he wasn't enough times doing that, and he gets the goal. Then it's not only that, you score the goal, and as you rightfully said, it was going to be chalked off. All these weight and all that, and then the next thing, and then obviously the roar went up. It was incredible.
I find that astonishing that Celtic didn't sign Sirachi.
Yeah, I think a lot of Celtic fans,
based on Celtic have Kieran Tierney, who's an incredible fullback and a great player for the club. But Kieran Tierney is not always 100% every week, and to have somebody like Sirachi as your backup left back, I thought he brought a calmness and an experience to the club that could have helped moving forward. But listen, they've chosen to go down another route, but it was a bit of a surprise.
all eyes will be on Dundee United Rangers tomorrow night. It's great because, you know, the English football hasn't started yet. They've got another, 3 weeks. Who's going to win? Who do you reckon, Kevin? Dundee United against Rangers. Rangers would go in as favourites, you would imagine.
They should go in as favourites, and it's a great time to play Dundee United because the grass, you'll see some grass now. Because
last spotted in Dundee when
the state of their pitch at the end of last season was
Yeah.
incredible. So I'm presuming there's we've had plenty of sun, we've had plenty of rain, so it must be looking amazing. So listen, it's the opening game of the season, and it would be great to see the Rangers team combine, because everybody will be questioning who starts, who doesn't start, what formation does he play. There'll be all these questions asked. So Derek will have his strongest team out because it sounds that everybody's available, and it'll be interesting to see how they perform. Can they put a performance on that makes everybody go, oh wow, Rangers look the part? Or can Jim Goodwin, with the expectations Dundee United fans have, can he do something with his team and maybe cause an upset on the first day? Because you know, in the first day, Paul, even the first weekend, there's always an upset somewhere.
Is it coming there? What's your scoreline?
I'm going to go Rangers 2-0.
2-0. Peter, what do you reckon?
That's exactly what I was going to say, Paul. 2-0 Rangers.
Okay. Can we fly through Falkirk St Mirren? Peter, what do you reckon?
I'm going to go for a draw, 1-1 draw.
Falkirk 2-0.
Aberdeen Hearts, Kevin?
Aberdeen 1-0.
Aberdeen 2-0.
2-0. St Johnstone Kilmarnock?
A draw again, because I think it's two teams that's going to be very closely matched.
I would agree with Peter, because I think St John's the unknown one in this.
Hibs Motherwell, Kevin?
I'm going to be Motherwell.
Right, an away win. What a start that would be.
I'm going to go for Hibs.
You go for Hibs?
Yes, Hibs 1-0.
Okay. And Celtic against Dundee. Peter, what do you reckon? Flag goes up.
I'm going to go
60,
Celtic
000.
3-0.
3-0?
Yes, 3-0 Celtic.
And who? Is he going to be there?
Well, I don't care. I don't care, Paul. I don't care. As long as it's 3-0, I would stake that in. I don't care who scores.
Kevin?
I think Celtic win 4-0. I think both new strikers get a goal each.
So both the big two starting, because Rangers, and you know, Lon Shanklin spoke about it, so did Derek McInnes. It's been a number of years since they won in the opening day, so it would be a big statement for Derek McInnes to start game number 1 with a win. Ambition for the season then, Kevin, what do you reckon? 30 seconds left. What are you hoping?
I'm hoping that we don't need to talk about VAR as much as what we did last year.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I hope. I hope we can iron out the problems we had with that, because we want to talk about the football, not the decision making.
Peter, conspiracies and all that. Let's put that out the window.
I thought there was no problems with VAR, Paul. I thought VAR was brilliant.
He's been on it tonight, hasn't he?
Certainly is. Yeah, Peter, you've missed all this, haven't you? Yeah.
Absolutely. Couldn't wait to get in.
He is available. We haven't signed the contract just yet, so if you want to come in, give us a call. Now, listen, thanks to everyone who was on tonight. Sorry if you didn't manage to get on. There's been so much happening. Motherwell 2 up, so that's good news. Good luck to them. So tomorrow night, Mark Guidi will be here. Aidan McGeady will be here, and I hope you will be too. Thank you, Gary. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes, to James. And we're back tomorrow night at 5.